read, or am I just listening?
No, you can just listen. So there's a story about Launderer, as we learn aggadah, which is a stories from the Talmud, and we just finished Talmud Nedarim, which means oath. And probably the very last page it talks about Launderer. So Talmud mentions few occupations that cannot be trusted, like people who cannot be, I would say, witnesses in a legal disputes, or people you can suspect of infidelity. It's like people who sell spices, who sell sewing supplies, and against launderers. It's like a proverbial milkman in America. So there was a one launderer that he was visiting the lady, and then the husband walks in. So because he was afraid that he'll be beaten up or killed, he ran and he hid himself in a closet. And the wife was serving husband his meal, and part of the thing was some type of a porridge. But while this man was in the closet, hiding in the closet, he'd seen that the snake came and ate some of this porridge. And there was a tradition that if snakes eat the soup or some porridge or drinks from a glass, and then the person tried to eat or drink that food, it person will die because there was a lot of poisonous snakes. And the poison from the mouth of the snake, when she drinks, is gonna pollute the food. So he's standing there in the closet and he basically walks out, stop, stop, don't eat this porridge. So the case was presented to the rabbis, and they say, can this wife be with her husband or not? Because it's an infidelity case. Because if the wife is basically not suspected, but it's almost like a witness, the husband himself see that she's been in private with a man, he cannot live with her anymore. So the first answer was no, it's no problem. He can continue to live with his wife because nothing happened. Why nothing happened? Because if the man would be really intimate with his wife, he would just want this man to die and he would never stop him from eating snake poison porridge. But because he did, then he is basically proved himself to be innocent. And, by default, the wife as well. There's a second opinion that says no, actually we cannot trust him. Why? Because one when she's married and she's available for him, and they say that forbidden waters are sweet. But if she will become single and available, maybe he wouldn't want to do anything with her. But basically, conclusions that our Hachamim made that she's innocent and she can continue to live with her husband. So that's the story of the Launderer.
So okay. Do you have another one?
I have another one. Let me see.
There you go. Where is this from?
This is from Gemara Nedarim. It's the last page. We had a siyum. When we conclude the Mesechta, then we do a siyum. And we started another Mesechta, tractate in Talmud, which is what do you call it? It's called Nazir. So Nazir, it's a whole parsha in the Torah that talks about what the person who takes upon himself a certain limitations, and he makes it basically continuation of the same idea, because Nedarim is an oath, and Nazir basically in the same group. So the question is asked, why Nazir would be in the same group as Nedarim? That's one answer we already got. But the other question is, why Nazir in a seder called Nashim, means women? Why? What does it have to do with women? We talk about people taking oaths and people limiting themselves in consumption of wine and grape products, or basically cutting their hair. So the answer, you probably heard this one, that when the sota The woman who is suspected of infidelity, to continue the same idea that we just touched, is taken for test. If she still stands her ground and says, "No, nothing happened. I'm totally innocent. And I can live with my husband. Nothing happened." So when she's taken to Jerusalem and they perform a test on her, and they give her a special water to drink, and this water tests her. And it says that when this happened, then the people who would watch and see, because if she actually lying, that she's gonna die on the spot. So the person who see the woman dies, basically explode in the spot, he would decide why this happened. And most of the time, it would happen because she decided to drink some wine, or took a couple of shots of scotch or vodka, whatever was available, and then she loses her mind and she become involved with infidelity. So that's a nausea. The person who sees it, he would say, "I'm never gonna drink any more wine. I'm gonna stay sober." And basically, the minimum is 30 days. But there is also the nausea shimshon, like shimshon. And the question is, take Gemara asked, can the person, basically, does the person who took up upon himself a Nazir Shimshon oath, is it actually works? Or does he need to bring a kapora? Does he need to bring a sacrifice? Because what's happening is when a person taken the oath of the Nazir, and the minimum term is 30 days, then he cannot drink wine and touch that, be basically get tuma unclean with the proximity of the dead person, and he cannot cut his hair. So when he does accidentally, then he needs to bring a korban. So why does he need to bring a sacrifice? Basically, pay money for that. So the answer is given because he limiting himself from what Hashem permits. Because we already have 613 commandments, and even though we only can do half of them when temple is not around, anyway, it's a limitation. So the punishment for someone who invents for himself additional limitations, he needs to take a sacrifice and bring it to Jerusalem and go through the process.
Wow.
So, how do you like that story?
Yeah, that's pretty neat. So we should go make the sacrifice and go to Yerushalayim.
Right. We can't today. So that's also Gemara talks. I think it's a page 4 on Nazir, that today when someone does say it, he's tied up. He cannot finish his Nizirus. And basically, someone who says, "I'm going to be Nazir for 30 days," he, to be able to finish his Nizirus, he needs to bring a sacrifice in Jerusalem, cut his hair, and go through the process. But because today there is no temple, we cannot bring a sacrifice. So if someone in his right mind and a totally clear and clear says, "I'm going to be a Nazir," he's stuck. He's going to have a nice, good-looking, wavy hair down to his whatever waist, or even to the ground until the rest of his life. He can't cut it. So that's the deal.
That's good. Well, let's